And I had to buy conversion cables for it, of which I found one pair on eBay.
Wow.
And they were ungodly expensive.
Really?
Yeah, man. And so now I have it set up so that I can control it from my system, but it's very basic control. It's really just note on and off.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really do anything else, and quite frankly, you don't really need it to. But it's super cool. And I've also got a GRP A4, which is a kind of analog model. It's in way new, but it's made to look like an old wood grain analog model synthesizer. It's just, those are some of my secret weapons and fun little things that I use all the time.
Amazing. Do you think you do anything specifically in your productions that gives you a trademark sound?
Yeah, I just don't know what that is, man.
Nice.
I think it's my sense of, since I'm a drummer, I think my sense of timing is what gives me away a lot. My friends will listen to some things and be like, yep, there's your Agent Method stuff. And I don't always know what that is. And they kind of bring it up when some of the more plunky off time, in time synths and stuff happen. And I just really enjoy a lot of that. And I kind of picked up that particular ideal of thinking from modeling songs and trying to teach myself stuff about how deadmauss produces. deadmau5 is a big influence of mine, and his synth work is masterful, and hence why I've got some of these synthesizers and really spend time learning and creating my own patches as best as I can.
Wow.
I'm nowhere near his level of competency with all that stuff, but it's I took his master class not long ago.
Oh yeah, how was that?
It's super cool, man. And he's almost like this cantankerous old man in this, but it's great. It's very real, and I very much appreciate it because I kind of get that way myself sometimes while working on stuff. And but it's just very real with how, and it was very refreshing to watch him talk about how he does his productions, and me sit there at the time I was watching and go, "Yep, I do that. I do that. I do that."
It's like,
and just kind of like confirmation,
confirming that you know what you're doing, or that you're on the path.
Yeah, at the very least.
At the very least.
Yeah, and but yeah, man. So I guess I have part of sound that is a combination of a lot of things, and I'm not 100% sure what it is, man.
Nice.
I guess still got to learn a bit more about myself, I guess.
For sure. It's a lifetime journey, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any tips for, like, if somebody wanted to get started learning how to do synthesis properly, like how to go about starting?
Dude. Start with an initialized patch and just start tweaking the things first most closest to the oscillator that you're messing with. And just seeing what those do.
Like what kind of wavelength it is,
how it changes the sound, man. Yeah. How it changes the sound. And then, because it'll normally start with like a sine wave or a saw wave or something pretty basic. And if you have any idea what synthesis does and is, just starting off with just one oscillator doing its thing with a note, and that much can get you started. And then start as close to that oscillator as you can and start screwing with stuff. And then eventually kind of branch out. Let's go to the second oscillator and let's tweak this one. Okay, these two are basically the same thing. Okay, I know if I know this first one, I'll know this second one. But then how do they sound together? How do their mixing levels sound? How does how does their FM modulation sound against each other? Like all that kind of stuff. And just seeing and to be 100% fair, I'm not 100% sure of what I'm doing most of the time.
Yeah, you're just putzing around until it starts to sound the way you want it.
Right, and then I've started learning more and more what exactly I'm tweaking and how it's affecting the sound, and understanding that technicality so I can make more discerned decisions, I guess, in my sound movements. But a lot of it is just kind of like, just screw with it, man.
Yeah, nice.
Or take a masterclass. There you go.
Take the deadmau5 masterclass. We'll put a link. We'll put a link in the show notes.
Yeah,
I'm sure they need. I'm sure they need our help. Considering the amount of advertisement I've been shown of that.
Yeah, they totally need our help. Yeah, absolutely.
So when you're working with other artists, how do you balance your creative vision with what the artist is going for?
I try to maintain it as best as I can. And sometimes we stray pretty far, but luckily enough, a lot of the time, there's only been a very few times where they didn't, but a lot of the time they like the direction it has strayed and takes them into a new creative ideal they wouldn't have thought to go towards without hearing their song in a different light. But I harp pretty largely on maintaining as much of their vision as I can, and especially when they've come to me with a track that they're just kind of trying to have reproduced and modernized.
Yeah.
Unless they specifically like, yo, I want this whole thing revamped. I fucking hate it. I'm over it. Let's just move forward. I try to stay as close in their lane as they want, and just because, you add your stamp to it when you redo anything, regardless of whether or not you're trying to make it as close as possible or not. So I'm not worried about like, oh, did I make my mark on this song? Or what? You're going to, just inherently within just you doing it, So I certainly try to maintain as much as I can of what they want.
Yeah, what the artist is going for.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, how did these humorous videos begin? What was the beginning of that?
So that is Ivory's fault.
Oh snap!
She knows that I'm a big dumb goofball, and
you don't come off as a big dumb goofball, over Skype, by the way.
Right. Well, I mean, I have my moments, right?
Yeah.
I guess maybe I'm a good actor. I don't know. I've never tried outside of these dumb little videos, but it's just. We were sitting in the kitchen just talking about stuff, and we were talking about I wanted to start making sample packs and all that kind of stuff because I have a ton of these sounds and stuff that I've made over the years and built complete contact instruments, short of like all the special color and knobs and all. I don't know any of that coding. I don't know how to do any of that. I got to hire somebody for that. But just like the raw, kind of very remedial looking instrument. You ever open up Contact and it's just like that white block of you use Contact at all?
I use Contact. The white, like when nothing's loaded, you mean?
Yeah, well, when you just load in a sample, not like a library, but just when you drag in a sample, it puts up this basic white block.
I need to start doing that, I guess.
Yeah. You make your own instruments out of it.
Right, you can make your own. It's a sampler, right? That's what Contact is.
There you go. Yep. And honestly, that same realization you just had, it took me a while to realize myself.
Right, because they come with, they're like, oh, buy all our sample packs, buy all these, instruments right. And these pianos and whatever. I mean, totally. It's amazing.
There's some of them are amazing. The Alicia's Keys and Una Corda, those two separate libraries are amazing. They're some of the best.
They're gorgeous. I actually don't own Alicia's Keys. I own the Una Corda, but I have a friend that does a lot of piano work for me, and he sends me Alicia's Keys all the time, and it sounds great. It's amazing.
Yeah, and Una Corda's killer. It's one of my favorite little things. It's such a strange, haunting little, not piano, but piano.
Yeah, definitely. It's got such a vibe.
It certainly does. But anyways, so I got tons of those little instruments I've made on my own, and I was thinking about maybe starting to put them out and get people to buy the packs and all this kind of stuff. And she was like, well, you should show people how you do it. And I was just, I get kind of sullen about it and just like, oh yeah, like anybody gives a shit, whatever. So I'll just call it, I was like, I'll just call it, let's see if this sounds good. And then we both laughed at that because it was just such a ridiculous, self-doubting, like, I don't know if it's going to sound good. Let's see if it sounds good. And it ended up sounding decent enough for people to like. And then so taking that mentality of, I don't think what I'm doing is special, but I'm doing it anyways. So I'm going to make fun of myself and the process doing it.
Nice.
And that's kind of how the goofiness came about, because it was just, it's self-satirical.
Yeah.
In a way, like, because you see a lot of these people that take their production super, super seriously and like bounce the camera while they're listening to the beat and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, come on, man. It's like, and I guess part of it for me is that I'm biased because I've been making these kinds of sample banks and all this stuff forever. And it didn't seem that special to me. It's like, who doesn't know how to do this? But I guess the answer is tons of people.
Tons of people, yeah.
But since I do it all the time, I just didn't think it was special.
Right.
And then she convinced me to kind of just start moving forward with it. And she kind of produces all the videos. She suggested doing the shower one and the kitchen one. Mm-hmm. And we kind of come up with the jokes and the dumb little things to do. And then she edits the whole thing together for me. And I got to go get the screen caps myself because she didn't know how to run Pro Tools that savvy yet. So I got to go get Pro Tools and open OBS and screen cap and do all that. But then she edits it all together and does all that. So I help produce her music. She helps produce my videos. It's this cool
a winning team.
Yeah, man. It's this nice little symbiotic relationship.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So most of us tend to fluctuate between high and low levels of creativity. Do you do anything specific when you need to get inspired?
Other than like kind of reference and what we touched on earlier about being inspired for that kind of stuff. This is so weird, dude. I'm really into colognes and perfumes.
Really?
I really am, for whatever reason. I'm not the only one. My buddy, MSM engineer in the UK, he's kind of a big deal mixer over there in the grime scene and other tons of the famous people over in the UK. He's the same way, and it's his fault that I'm into it. Just like colognes and perfumes and all that stuff, and just because it takes you somewhere. It takes you somewhere and reminds you of something that you once knew, or reminds you of somewhere you've never been. It's very interesting kind of, because smell is so...
No, the smell is the most powerful sense in that sense. Like, I know this. It's like it's like a well-known thing. I think I took a course in college about literature. I don't remember exactly what it was called. And we're reading Proust. And, he talks in his book, I think it's Remembrance of Things Past. I might be wrong, about the, his sense of smell and that bringing back to like a very specific place and how real it was. And like, wow, this is like as far off topic as I think we've ever gone on the show.
No, but good, man. This is good.
I love it, man. Yeah. But yeah, the sense of smell like really puts you in that place.
Absolutely. And sometimes I'll just kind of sit there I just have an absurd amount of colognes. It's it's the main thing that I splurge on outside of audio gear.
No way.
Yeah, man. It's real unfortunate. It's just so much money that I could have had for other stuff. But I love it, and it really just takes you somewhere that you like much like you said, like the visceral memory comes back full force almost, or somewhere that you may have passed by vaguely or seen in a book or something like it. You know what I mean? It's just like, it can bring back any litany of things, and just kind of just seeing where that takes you. Now, to be fair, sometimes that really helps me, and sometimes I'm just spinning my wheels and just sitting there enjoying a smell for no reason. But sometimes it'll take you to a place or a time or something. And it's just like, I don't know, man, rely on your other senses as much as your sense of hearing to kind of tell you where you might need to go. And it works to varying degrees. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends.
Amazing.
Just, why not give it a shot? So,
wow, dude, if it works for you, sounds great. I was literally in a car on my way to a gig, and the saxophone player offered me some cologne. I was like, no, man, I don't really do cologne. It's not my thing.
Yeah, okay.
literally just happened like a week ago. But
yeah, it's not for
maybe
everyone,
next time
man.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, man, why not?
Why not? I have no reason. It just never was a thing for me.
Yeah.
So do you mix and master all the music you create?
For the most part, stuff that I'm doing contractually with some other artist friends of mine, they'll want me to mix something, but they've got masters lined up for people, or add, or just add some production ideas to an already finished song that's already going to go to a mixer or already going to go to someone who's doing mastering.
So it depends where you come out in the chain of events.
Essentially, and kind of come out and get picked up in at the same time. And I just recently did something for again my buddy Maxwell Aiden, and that got sent over to Randy Merrill over at Sterling Sound.
Oh yeah,
and yeah, and then sometimes I'll do some production work on stuff, and he'll send it to Jordan. Is it Jordan Stillwell? The Chainsmokers.
Production
mixer guy.
Okay.
And then he'll mix some stuff. But yeah, man, it really just depends. If it's my own productions, I'll go through and do the whole process. And to make sure I try to get the mastering as correct as possible.